Hey, welcome to another great edition of Frankie's Icons of Pop Culture right here on Rapid Fire Radio. And we are actually brought to you in part by, we actually got a sponsor. We got Sally O'Malley's that actually is a sponsor to us now. And we got the rally here now. It's Happy Rally Day for everybody. And, we want to send a shout out to Sally O'Malley's for being our sponsor. And, we have a great commercial that Red put together earlier in the week talking about Sally O'Malley. So I get the word out there. Today we actually have a very special interview. Interview 1 out of 2 today. And the first one will be with John K, a.k.a. Johnny K, from not from Steppenwolf. Everybody kind of got that confused a little bit. People were getting that confused, thinking that it was Steppenwolf, Steppenwolf's John K, but it's not. It's the John K or Johnny K from Bill Haley's COMETS, and he's our first guest. And then we have Ron Hurst, who is the drummer for the Steppenwolf. So I can see how that could get a little confusing a little bit. So we're gonna give Johnny K a call right now, and see what's up.
Okay.
Hey, is this Johnny K?
Yes.
Hey, what's up?
We didn't hit a perfect time. We're having a severe thunderstorm right now.
Oh, is that exciting? No, I always love bad weather.
Yes.
I always love bad weather when we do interviews. That's always exciting.
Well, the atmosphere is rocking and rolling.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Just like this interview will be rocking and rolling. How's it going, my friend?
Yeah.
How are you? How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm doing well. How about you?
Oh, today we're just starting day number 1 of the 78th annual Sturgis Motorcycle Rally that's going on in our area right now.
Oh, okay.
You ever heard of Sturgis before?
Ever hear, excuse me?
Of Sturgis? Of the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we got going on right now, or actually as we were speaking. It just started here today. Today is day number 1 out of what? It's going on the whole week until next Saturday.
How's the weather out there? Good?
Well, it's actually cloudy out. It's kind of cloudy right now. So we could get a storm too. We don't know. The weather here in South Dakota is always kind of tricky. That's for sure.
Well, we've been having tropical weather for the last week. We're tired of it.
You're having tropical weather, but yet you're not in a tropical area. You're not in Hawaii or anything like that.
No, we're not. This is unusual. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Well, for those who are wondering who I'm speaking with Johnny K. Now, I can understand there was a little confusion in not from you, John, but from some of the audience, because I'm also doing an interview later today with one of the members of Steppenwolf, and it's not John K. who's the original singer of Steppenwolf. It's with their drummer, Ron Hurst. But I put down John K. and Steppenwolf, so I put John K. down. Your name, John K. and John K. and Steppenwolf, and people thought I was kind of nuts. They thought I was they thought I was, kind of nuts for putting that down. But I think a lot of people don't have forgotten a little bit about there's other people named that have the same name, and you, sir, are the guy who was kind of helped Bill Haley kind of keep the COMETS going back many years ago.
Yeah, and I went by the name Johnny K back then.
Sure.
Because, so they knew me as Johnny K. Just recently, within the last 10 years, changed it to John K. But everybody back then knew me as Johnny K.
Oh, sure.
So it should make it a little less confusing.
Well, I think it's just because when I tagged you on Facebook to let you know, to let everybody know who I was interviewing, they got because your
Right.
name is John K, and then there was another John K from Steppenwolf, and yeah, it was kind of one of those cluster deals, I think. But either way, we got you. We're honored to have you. I'm actually honored to even be speaking with you because we only met here back on Monday. I sent you a friend request here probably about a week ago or so, and you finally got around to accepting it. And when I realized who you were and what you did and what you currently do, even as even right now in your life as a guitar teacher, I thought, you know what, we got to get this guy on the show. He'd be a perfect fit for Frankie's Icons of Pop Culture. So we really are honored to have you on the show there, Johnny.
Is this going to be live or is this going to be pre-recorded?
We're actually live right now on Facebook, and we're also live on rapidfire.caster.fm. So we're streaming and we're also streaming. We're doing two different streaming services.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I see that you're on Facebook as well. I can actually send you the camera link as well if you want to share it around with some of the people that you know while we're speaking. I mean, it don't matter to me.
No, that's fine. I'd have to go into Facebook and so forth. So we'll just do it on the phone.
Okay.
Right now.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. So, with you being a part of or Bill Haley's COMETS, I mean, like, kind of explain kind of how you and Bill kind of got together. How did that all kind of happen?
Well, let me give you a quick history. I started playing guitar at 14 years old. At 16 years old, I had my own local group, and I was playing locally in the Philadelphia area, say 30 square miles around Philadelphia. In this area, that includes New Jersey, Delaware, and southeastern Pennsylvania. So I was playing around groups, and the group got pretty popular. So Bill Haley's manager at that time, named Bob Hayes, saw us play at a venue, and Bill's band, the guys he had then were leaving, and he said, "Well, do you mind if I have Bill hear you?" I said, "That's not a problem." I thought it was, not much of a possibility. But lo and behold, about 2 weeks later, in a place called Westchester, Pennsylvania, Bill Haley showed up, stayed for 2 numbers, and left. So I thought, well, it's over. He didn't like it, and that was it. But then a few days later, I got a call from the manager again, and he said, Bill wants to set up an audition at his office, which was in Chester, Pennsylvania at that time. Would I be willing to come down? And I said, absolutely. I went down, and he had another person auditioning in front of me. I did not see who he was. I was in a separate room. And this guy was really good. He was jazz. He was mostly jazz. And so when I came up for my audition, I decided to do Chuck Berry, Johnny Be Good. And then I did Shake, Rattle, and Roll for Bill Haley. I guess it was a little guts of me to do Shake, Rattle, and Roll in front of Bill Haley. Sing it, play the lead. And then he said, thank you. We enjoyed it. You'll hear from us if we pick you. And a few days later, I got a call from his manager again and said, can you be ready in 1 week? All you have to know is the lead for Rock Around the Clock. And you're going to start in a week with the band. And I told him I already know it. I already know the lead. So that was it. And then I was with him for 6 straight years as a steady guitar player. And then 6 years after that, I played various gigs he wanted me on in New York. I did recordings, went to Wembley, in London, in Las Vegas, and I was on and off. until 1972. So it was 1960 to 1972.
Oh, okay.
And Bill and I became friends, and it was a great time in my life. It really was.
Oh, well, that's very exciting. You know, I mean, I can only imagine what an audition would have been like back in the day, because you didn't have all the technology that we have now, and I can only imagine if you would have had what we have now, like Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff. Who knows what could have happened back in those days? But since it was a lot harder to kind of get known, or get or really, actually, even if it was harder to get known, it seemed like it was easier for people to get booked. It seemed like, at least I think so. But then again, I was never around back in those days, so I don't know.
Well, I had a little Fender amp that I plugged into, and there were two partners with Bill. Billy Williamson was the steel guitar player, and Johnny Grandi was the piano player, and Bill. They stood in front of me. I just stood up and played. And I have to thank that jazz guitar player. I really do, because I said, I don't want to do what he did. And I know Bill was one of the founders of rock and roll. And I said, so I'm going to play rock and roll. And if I get picked, I get picked. If I don't, I don't. But also, he told me later on that the vocals really helped. Me singing really helped, because he said it made it an extra advantage, because I could do the latest tunes of the 60s coming out. He would do his stuff, and I would come out and do some of the songs that were out in the early 60s. So we transcended everything.
Sure.
Then wound up in Mexico, and Bill became the king of twist in Mexico. I don't know if you knew that or not, but
No.
he beat Chubby Checker out down there.
No, that's pretty cool.
I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No. I think that's kind of neat. That he was known as the king of twist, because I always just thought that was Chubby Checker's role. I never knew anything that other people were known for that. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, that was 1960. Chubby was out here. The only difference is when we went down there, Bill was married to a Mexican woman, so he did some things in Spanish. And so he did some of the twist stuff in Spanish, which Chubby Checker didn't do, and we just got to jump on it. It was pure, well, you could call it luck, but we knew how to do it. And we had a lot of hit albums down there, and went down and recorded in Mexico City quite often. So I had a great time, good experience. I was in the right place at the right time with the right music, and so I had a great life and been very fortunate, Sean.
Oh, well, that's awesome. That is very awesome that you could to even to get yourself out there, just by persistence, so to speak, by just not giving up, and by just keeping on, and even back in those days, many years ago, during the good old days of rock and roll and everything. See, the one thing about me that you got to realize is that I'm only 34 years old, but I grew up on rock and roll. Okay, I grew up liking all the stuff that you probably like, when it comes to like Bill Haley, the COMETS, and all that stuff.
It's funny. Bill Haley gets very little recognition. In fact, I just read a little article on the internet that says, what happened the year you was born? So I was born in 1940. I took it up to went all through the years. I went to 1952, and it says rock and roll was born, which is wrong. It was 1954. But then they said by Alan Freed, a disc jockey. Well, he didn't invent it. He played a song by Bill Haley called Rock-A-Beatin' Boogie. If you've ever heard it, Sean, it starts rock, 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 everybody. Roll, 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 everybody. And he would say rock and roll with the record. And so he popularized it to a rock and roll song played and written by Bill Haley. And then, of course, later on, Bill Haley had Rock Around the Clock, which he popularized rock and roll all over the world. So, two things. Who invented rock and roll? Well, the way I was told by people who were there at the beginning is that it's a combination of blues, which they called race music back then, black music, and country and western mixed. They heard it and said, well, there's so much alike, really. It's just the beat, and let's just incorporate both together and bring in, you know, white audiences and black audiences. And they called it rock and roll because of the song Rock a Beat and Boogie. And that's the way it really started. So there's a lot of people that started it. But Bill popularized it through Rock Around the Clock, which even my students, some are like 11 or 12, love it. They're 12 years old. They never, you know, it was an ancestral tune to them. And they love 50s music, 60s music. So, you know, it goes on. It just didn't fade.
Yeah, and you know, I'm so sick and tired of people saying that rock and roll is dead. Like all these oldies and all that stuff. You know, yeah, maybe a lot of the people who provided those tunes are no longer with us, but the music will still always be on, no matter what. I mean, it can never die. I don't care if it's 100 years in the future. Somebody's gonna play something by Bill Haley or Dale Shannon or Buddy Holly. I mean, because you still hear those songs if you listen to certain stations.
Yeah, and of course with the British invasion, they amplified it. And they took it into the raw form. Took the United States, because what happened here is they started using strings, they started using orchestras, and they started knocking down the beat some. And so the British guys came in and put the raw rock and roll back in the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and so forth, and that amplified it and made it even stronger. So I have to thank those people. And of course, Beatle music will last forever. Those guys were not only good musicians, they were great composers. So, you know, it'll never die.
Yeah, that last video that Paul McCartney did with James Corden, I don't know if you saw that at all when they went back to London to see some of Paul's roots. Boy, that went everywhere. I mean, as far as I know, over 99 million people or million views. I mean, it just a video because of Paul McCartney. So yeah, it's definitely not dead. That's for sure.
No, it's not dead, and it's good music. And my parents, of course, I was raised during the Second World War years. I was 1 to 5 years old, but my parents were big band fans. I mean, they liked big band music. And the funny thing is, when rock and roll came in, they embraced it. They said, "Wow, this is really great. You can really dance to this music, and it's lively." So it wasn't like throwing away something. They still liked big band music, but they also like the current music. And so that's kind of how I knew it was going to stick around, because the older generation, even back then, liked it. They didn't say, oh, you know, the only people that kind of didn't like it were the people playing current. I'm saying 1954, 55, dance music. They thought rock and roll was too simplified and too not complicated enough. And I think that's what made it popular, because it was simple music that everyone can understand and dance to and learn the lyrics to and be happy. It was happy music back then.
Oh yeah.
Everything progresses.
Yeah, you know, and I mean, it's kind of like nowadays, you know, we wonder what you know, is there any originality out there? And then, you know, if you really do a little research, if you really look around, you'll still find people who actually can do original material and are not trying to steal from others that have been successful. Now, I don't know about you, but with me being a young guy, I appreciate originality more than anything else. Now, I don't mind listening to a guy that can do, or a band that can do covers. That's fine.
Right.
But sometimes, especially around the area where I live, there's too many. There's too many cover bands. There's not enough bands that do original material anymore. It seems like, for local bands anyway.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm not out here to insult anybody, but I will not go hear a tribute band because they play the songs note for note like the original artist. So I have the recording. If I want to hear something note for note like the original artist, I'll listen to the original artist. Of course, I had the pleasure of meeting a lot of original artists.
Sure.
But yes, being original makes a big difference. And another big difference, Sean, back in 1957, 58, there were clubs and places with live music. Say in a square mile, there were 5 places you could go to hear a band. That's not happening anymore. Those days are over. So I grew up in a time where I worked. I was going to high school. I worked 6 nights a week, Monday, through Saturday. I quit at 2 a.m, got up and went to school. And it was a full-time profession to me at 17 years old, playing music. So that's what I did besides going to school.
Wow. So, I mean, you kind of put the stress on yourself, kind of, even though being a young guy, you could probably handle all that. I mean, that's a lot of responsibility for wanting to be a musician and everything.
Well, I had the drive. That's what I wanted to do. I never thought that I'd end up with a band like that. And another crazy thing, the song that got me playing guitar was a song called Crazy Man Crazy by Bill Haley in 1954. It was a local hit in the Philadelphia area. I heard it on the radio. I was getting over an illness, and the doctor put it on. Doctor visited the homes back then, and he said, "You want to hear the radio?" I said, "Yeah." He put it on, and that song came on, and I said, "Wow, what a sound." So Bill Haley got me playing guitar, and I wound up with the group. How ironic is that?
That is very ironic. That is crazy. That's that small world atmosphere kind of thing, huh?
Oh yeah.
Oh, oh, that's crazy. That is crazy. And how long have you been doing? Now, I understand you also teach guitar as well. How long have you been doing that?
Well, when I came out of Bill Haley's group in full time in 1967, I started teaching guitar full time, and I had 80 students at that time. And I did it 6 days a week, and I still teach. For a few years, I had a video production company. I stopped for 5 years. I had a video production company, and ironically, I only recorded 1 band during that time on video, and they weren't so good. And I said, I'm not going to deal with this anymore. So I wound up doing industrial videos, safety videos. Most of those people that I worked for never knew I was a musician, never knew I played for Bill Haley. It was a whole separate life. And then I came back locally to play, and I started to teach again, and I've been teaching for many years. I still have 15 students who refuse to leave, and I enjoy it. I enjoy teaching more than anything because it's a way of passing something on to someone else, and that gives me a lot of satisfaction.
So when you teach the guitar, I mean, do you teach all aspects of it? Do you teach how to play certain songs, or what's your format, kind of?
Okay, I have an age range of people from 11 years old to 70 years old, believe it or not. And the young kids, I teach them kind of standard music, so they have to know the basics in order, in case if they don't want to play guitar, they want to go to piano or trumpet or something, they know music and they can read and so forth. But if you're an adult, what I say is, what do you want to do with guitar? I know it's not going to be your vocation. What kind of music do you like? What do you want to play? What do you want to learn? And I guide them that way. So each student is individual. There's not a one format for everybody. It's individual, and I guide them in the direction. If you like folk music, great. If you like jazz, great. If you like rock, great. We'll go that way. And I'm a big thing on, and for any of your listeners, on musical theory. If you know how music works, I call it the mechanics of music. If you know how it works, you know how to compose yourself. So what I try to teach students to do too is compose your own song. Be original. Take a song you know and modify it into your own song. Change the lyrics, change the chords, change the melody a bit. The only original song was the one from Mel Brooks, "The History of the World Part 2." Have you seen that?
I actually have that on. I have that on Blu-ray. Actually, the movie anyway.
Well, the first caveman starts. That's the first song. Everything else has been a copy.
Oh, geez.
Because how did music start? Someone heard somebody do something and they said, "I like that," so they created their own. What in the back of their mind is what they heard. So they changed it a little, and it kept going through the centuries. There's only 12 notes, Sean. There's only 12 notes in music, and it's amazing how many thousands and millions of songs have been made from 12 notes.
Yeah, that's pretty outstanding. I mean, when I go on Spotify and I come up with what songs I can add to my massive playlist and everything. Or if we play something here on Rapid Fire Radio, which we also have a massive playlist or a massive library, it's amazing all the beautiful music and arrangements that people had to figure out, like how we're gonna do this. Everything started from scratch. Other than the covers that that people do, everything had to come up with an idea. Even the covers back in the day, or even to make your own arrangements, kind of like what you were talking about. Everybody had to come up with their own style, and look at what we got. We got lots of music, and a lot of this music, as you know, being a musical connoisseur as you are, a lot of it doesn't get played enough. Now, I don't know what your stance is on top 40 music. I'm not a really big fan of top 40 anymore because it's overkill. That's why I like to play stuff that's different, but I like to play stuff that people will enjoy.
Right.
But what's your preference as an older guy who's been around and who's been in the music business? Are you a big fan of top 40 at all?
No, not really. Someone told me many years ago, and I have a question for you after I finish.
Sure.
That you're in your informative years, anybody is, from the time you enter your teens to about 30 years old, that's the music that sticks with you, and that's the music that you love. And I found that's true. And I'm way beyond that. I mean, I'll listen to it for a little while, but I'm like you. My era is 50s, 60s, 70s, and then I kind of cut it off after that, only because, not because it's bad, not because I don't like it, it's because I don't relate to it. I have a question for you. Do you play an instrument, Sean?
No, back many years ago when I was a kid, I tried learning the guitar, but I never pursued it. I just I did a lot of singing when I was in school, but as far as anything solo or anything like that, no. That's why I do the DJ thing or do the radio thing, because I figure if anything that can be my contribution to the music society or entertainment would be just being a host of something, and going with that.
Well, that's good. You're following your dream. It's what you want to do. You don't have to be a musician, but you appreciate it and you play it and you keep it going.
Yeah, then we get interesting guys like you on the show, and that's always wonderful too, because today happens to be a 5-year anniversary for me for moving to Black Hills, and and it's rally time, and we're just trying to we're trying to have as much fun as we can because, you know, the world sucks right now for all the things that you hear. I mean, it doesn't suck completely because there's a lot of good going on too in the world, but you never hear so much about the good. You always, you know, if you turn on the TV, it's always about something bad. So what I try to do is try to be the old school DJ. Try to be like the Alan Freeds. Try to be like the Wolfman Jacks.
Right.
Not to steal what they did. Also try to be original and create my own thing, you know, but to try to be inspired by those who have inspired me and to keep their legacy going as well, you know, in my own type of spin. So, yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and you know, it's been a pleasure. Is there anything else that you need to know? Or
I just would just like to say thank you, first of all. Just a simple thank you for just taking the time to let me interview you, because, you know, your story is quite amazing, you know, and I really wish more people knew more about you. You know, it's like a lot of times when you're in a band, everybody focuses their stories on the lead singer. They forget about the people who are in the band, you know, in most cases. And so I wish your story could be told more to more people, and I hope I can do what I can to share that around since you were nice to grace me with your presence on my show. And I'm very honored and very happy to have interviewed you. And you know, you keep a young guy like me while I keep rocking and rolling, so that many generations can hear what we've done, and we can look back with a smile and say we accomplished something today. So I appreciate that, Joey.
Good. Well, I'm on Facebook. I'm on, you know, John K. Don't mix me up with Steppenwolf. I'm there. I'm there, and you know, any of your audience that want to contact me, and do that. And some of my history is on there, and of course that goes for you too. And I hope we remain friends.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I appreciate it all. And thanks for being a part of Rapid Fire Radio, and thanks for being part of Frankie's Icons of Pop Culture, because you are, sir, an icon of pop culture.
Well, I just was inducted to the Delaware, which is a small state, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm one of the premier inductees, and I'm very, very honored that happened. So I've got to go right now.
All right.
This has been great. I appreciate it, and you keep on rocking, Sean.
Oh, I will, man. And thanks for everything, and you do the same. Take care.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. And that was Johnny K, a.k.a. John K, from Steppenwolf. Not from Steppenwolf. Not the John K from Steppenwolf, just so you guys know. Just so that confusion is, gone. Now, later on today, here about another hour and a half, we will be interviewing Ron Hurst, who is the drummer from Steppenwolf, who is currently in the roster of drummers for Steppenwolf anyway, because they're going to be coming to Sturgis next week and doing one of their final performances, and it's definitely a must see. But this is Johnny K from Bill Haley's COMETS, and I hope you guys, who have tuned in, have gotten a chance to learn a little bit more about him and realize who he is as a person. And he's an older guy. It's an old rock and roller, but he's been around for a while. But his story is very excellent to tell, and I'm just honored to be able to be one of the guys to share his story. So I hope you guys and gals out there enjoyed that. What's up, Reb?
Well, this here is Walford Bramley.
Oh, Jesus.
And right now, I want to talk to you a little bit about Sally O'Malley's.
Oh, yes.
If you haven't been down to Sally O'Malley's, you must have been eating oatmeal.
Oh, jeez.
So get down to Sally O'Malley's, where they got the coldest beer in town, and because it's the right thing to do.
And who could use a beer right now, especially during rally time?
And you might even catch me down there with Wilford and the Brimleys.
Oh, jeez. Singing the oatmeal song?
Yeah, the oatmeal song.
Talking about Liberty Medical?
I love oatmeal so much I could marry it.
Yes. I thought you did.
I might. And I could go into other details about what it does to me, but this is a family-oriented station. So.
Yeah, already too graphic already. Jeez, for the imagination.
Well, anyway, Frankie, thanks for having me on. I have to go because I got to check my diabetes.
Yeah, you do that. Do
All
that.
right.
You do that probably more than anybody else does, probably. All right, guys and gals. We'll be back a little bit later, about another hour and 20 minutes, with Ron Hurst, from the drummer from Steppenwolf, and it should be a very, very great show. Very good time to do these interviews. And I apologize for yesterday. For those who listened to the interview I did with Ray Benson from Asleep at the Wheel, I had no idea it was going to be a quick interview. Nobody said nothing. Agent management didn't say nothing. So anybody that was hoping that was going to be an interview like this, the interviews that I'm used to, had no idea it was just going to be a quick, So I was hoping it would have been a lot longer because that's what I was prepared for. I did a lot of research trying to prepare myself for it, and just to do a 2-minute interview. So I had no idea. If I would have known that, I probably would have just decided not to do it. But it's no big deal. He did call, and we do appreciate it. And a lot of stuff going on with the rally this weekend, and into next weekend as well. And from the 3rd to, I believe, the 11th of August, lots of stuff going on for the rally. Tonight, we have Blackstone Cherry. They're coming to the Iron Horse Saloon, so I'm going to be going over there as a way to celebrate a 5-year anniversary for moving to the Black Hills, and we're going to have a good time. We're going to have a really good time. This is Rally Week. This is, Rapid Fire Radio's, this is where we really shine around times like this, because just like our slogan, you never know what's going to happen next.
That's right.
Because we don't even know.
And Wilford Brimley didn't leave right now. He's still here. But
Well, Wilford Brimley forget to turn on the buttons, when he
I didn't
speaks.
have to. I want it to sound like I'm in the background annoying you.
Oh, yeah. Like we're in an echo chamber. Okay, Wilford, go back and check your diabetes for the 100th time already. And the guy wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning and he's already checked his diabetes probably 100 times already.
Actually, I got a date with Sally O'Malley tonight.
Oh, jeez. Okay, well, you do that. I didn't know you could still boogie at your age there. All right. Well, anyway, so you guys, we'll be back here a little bit and with Ron Hurst, our second interview of the day, and should be good. So keep it locked here, Rapid Fire Radio. Frankie's Icons of Pop Culture. We'll be right back. And for those listening on the live stream, we'll be with you with some more music.